Good afternoon again. Thank you very much for attending this year's FRE press conference. Today, we will share with you the outcome of this year's FRE, as well as the Council's consideration when making our decision. Of course, we will also answer any questions you may have about this year's fair review exercise. Now, joining me on the panel are my Council members, um, Vincent Chua, Dr. Vincent Chua, Mr. Tan Su Nan, Mr. Lim Boon Wee, Mr. Nazir bin and Chief Executive Mr. Liao Yuchin. Now, let me start with a bit of a backdrop for this year's FRE and then a brief recap of what the maximum allowable fair quantum is based on before I share the outcome of the FRE 2025. Now, first, the backdrop. Now, while the inflation has tapered off and energy prices have settled at a lower level from the spikes in prior years, the Public Transport Council, of course, is very mindful that the cost of living for households in Singapore continues to be a concern for many. So PTC's commitment to balancing our twin mandate of keeping fares affordable for commuters while safeguarding the financial sustainability of our public transport system is front and center in the fare review exercise. And we achieve this by aligning fare adjustments with changes in operating costs of running our trains and buses. And we have an average daily ridership of more than 7 million moving purposefully every day for work, for family, for caregiving, for social, for play. So while we work to keep fares affordable for all, we need to ensure that A, our public transport workers receive fair wages for their hard work. B, the increasing cost of operations and maintenance of our public transport network is catered for. And C, that we have sufficient resources to expand and improve the accessibility of our public transport network. So the Council recognizes that any fare adjustments can be challenging for commuters in an economic climate of uncertainty, and hence in the past few years, as you know, the Council has not granted the maximum allowable fare quantum. So as much as we can, we want to keep the financial impact of fare adjustments manageable for commuters. But this has meant that the deferred quantum from previous years is not yet fully reflected in our fares. So this means that our PT fares have not adequately accounted for the actual costs of operating and maintaining the public transport system. And additional government subsidies are therefore funded by taxes are required. Now, for this year's FRE, the maximum allowable fare adjustment quantum is 14.4%. This comprises the deferred fare quantum of 12.9% from last year and the formula output of 1.5% for this year. Similar to the past 3 years, PTC has decided not to grant the maximum allowable fare quantum so as to moderate the financial impact of fare increases for commuters. We have decided to grant an overall fare increase of 5% for FRE 2025. The remaining 9.4% of the maximum allowable quantum will be deferred to future FREs. This deferred quantum is lower than the 12.9% deferred quantum in FRE 2024. So with this, we are also gradually reducing the deferred quantum. PTC is heartened that the government has agreed to provide an additional subsidy of more than 200 million this coming year to cover the deferred quantum. This is on top of the 2 billion in annual operating subsidies that the government is already funding for public transport, and also is on top of the additional funding of close to 1 billion over 8 years for the bus connectivity enhancement program. Just again to recap, the bus connectivity enhancement program is not catered in the formula, and therefore it does not add to fares. All right, so that's a clarification on that. In other words, the government is fully supporting to continue to grow and invest in our very high quality public transport system to provide affordable fares, targeting, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, to help those who need help the most. Now, with this 5% fare adjustment, adult cut fares will increase by 9 to 10 cents per journey. And compared to 2024, the majority of adult commuters will see a smaller fare increase in the coming year. And for commuters who are paying concessionary fares, that is, those who need help the most, there will be zero fare increase for short distance journeys on basic bus and train services. This refers to journeys in the first fare band, that is 3.2 km or shorter. This benefits more than one third, or about 450,000 of daily journeys made by seniors, students, persons with disabilities, and lower wage workers. For longer journeys, those more than 3.2 km, concession card fares will increase by 3 to 4 cents per journey, lower than the 9 to 10 cents fare adjustment for the regular commuter. So overall, the 2 million commuters paying concessionary fares will see 0, 3 to 4 cents fare adjustment, lower than last year's flat increase of 4 cents per journey. And in addition, we are also looking at expanding protection for heavy public transport users. PTC is reducing the price of monthly passes for adults, seniors, persons with disabilities, and workfare transport concession card holders by up to 5%. So about 155,000 commuters can benefit from this. The prices of all other monthly passes will be unchanged even as per journey fares go up. The Council recommends that these heavy users of public transport seriously consider purchasing monthly passes to cap their public transport expenditure and benefit from this price reduction. Similar to prior years, PTC has recommended that the government draws on the Public Transport Fund to provide assistance to lower income resident households in the form of public transport vouchers, or we call PTVs. Low-income households and vulnerable groups will receive PTVs worth $60 each to further ease their public transport expenditures. So in summary, A, this year's fare adjustment of 5%, 9 to 10 cents per journey is lower than last year's increase. B, commuters paying concessionary fares will see 0, 3 to 4 cents increase, which is lower than the 9 to 10 cents fare adjustment for adult commuters and the 4 cents flat last year. And C, 155,000 heavy users of public transport can benefit from the 5% price reduction in monthly passes. We all are very grateful. I'm sure you and we're all grateful that in Singapore we do have an accessible and well-connected, high-quality public transport system that is supported by the government's ongoing investments in public transport infrastructure and continuous efforts to enhance service delivery. All efforts are being made, as we all well known. Our assets are aging, and there may issues that may have tackled, but reliability task force has been set up, etc. So that's the kind of focus that the government has put on in public transport system. For PTC, we are mindful that public transport has to be affordable as the cost of living continues to be a concern for many Singaporeans, and we also all know, and hopefully you agree, that the strength of our public transport system lies in the dedication of our public transport professionals, including bus and train captains, technicians, engineers, cleaners, customer service, and frontline staff who work tirelessly to ensure that our public transport operations are safe, clean, reliable, and efficient. And the wages of the public transport workers therefore need to continually be uplifted to keep up with the changes in cost of living for them as well, and in recognition of their contribution. PTC will therefore continue to ensure that fare adjustments keep pace with the cost of operating and maintaining our public transport system. And at the same time, we will make sure that these changes are gradual so that fares remain affordable and the impact on commuters is manageable. So, if I may recap my earlier summary, one, this year's fare adjustment of 5%, 9 to 10 cents per journey, is lower than last year's increase. Two, commuters paying concessionary fares will see 0, 3 to 4 cents increase, which is lower than the 9 to 10 cents fare adjustment for adult commuters. And C, about 155,000 heavy users of public transport can benefit from a 5% price reduction in monthly passes. And we are very heartened to hear many questions related to this. So it says that we are aligned in terms of who are the people who need help and support. So in closing, I can only say that the PTC does do our best, and we strive to engage and collaborate with PT ecosystem, from government to public transport operators, from academia and media influencers like yourselves to our PT commuters, with the hope to cultivate a sense of joint ownership of our public transport system and to create a culture where our public transport is not only about affordable fares and sustainable costs of operations, but also about creating together a common space where every commuter shows care to one another and helps give each other a joyful, purposeful ride every day. Thank you very much.